What is going on, everyone? Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Forward Thinking Founders. I am very grateful to have your attention, at least for the next 15 minutes of this episode. Forward Thinking Founders is a podcast where I interview pre-seed and seed stage founders about their products, what they want to build into the world, and why. We dive into how they spend their time, what's their vision, what's the origin stories, all these things, so you can learn all about what's coming tomorrow. Because these companies haven't hit critical scale yet. Most of them haven't hit product market fit. These are just early stage companies, and the big question is, what can this be? And in this podcast, we bring that out. So with that, I really hope you enjoy your time listening to today's episode. And I've already done 200 plus, so if you like this one, listen to some of the other ones, like with Imadi Kund, Austin Allred, Leah Culver. We have great interviews, so check it out, enjoy the repository, and for now, let's get into today's episode. Here we go. All right, how's it going, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Forward Thinking Founders. We talk to founders about their companies, their visions for the future, and how the two collide. Today, I'm very excited to be talking to Elizabeth Dell, who's the founder of Amorus. Welcome to the show. How's it going?
Thanks. It's going good. Happy Friday.
Yeah, happy
Friday.
Friday.
Not say that?
No, I mean, for me, it's a happy Friday. For me, it's happy and sad because I'm taking the next 2.5 weeks off. I mean, it's 99% happy. I'm taking the next 2.5 weeks off because I'm getting married and then I'm going on honeymoon. So this is like my last podcast in half a month. So it's great.
And we're talking about relationships and intimacy. So isn't it perfect? I love that.
Look at that. It's perfect way to send out February. Well, let's get into it. I mean, so for people that haven't heard of what you are doing, they haven't heard of your company, let's kind of start there. What are you working on? What is Amorus?
Yeah, so I am building Amorus. Amorus is the relationship intimacy app. So we are an activity app for your relationship. You know, we have this huge multi-billion-dollar industry of dating apps to help single people meet other people. But in fact, 70% of adults are in relationships. They are coupled. And as soon as you get in relationship, it's like, SMS text each other and we hope it works out. And so Amorus is an app designed to help relationships thrive, and specifically starting from the place of how do we do the one thing that's really unique to a romantic couple, which is intimacy, which is connecting and delicious fun around pleasure, around sexuality, around how we connect with our deepest desires.
So walk me through a little bit about if someone wants to use the app or a couple wants to use it, like what are some of the features of it? What can they do with it? Kind of like on a high level, someone gets on, what are the options for them?
Yeah. So from a really high level, we make it easier to be sexy together, and we help you upskill in your intimacy. So what that looks like on a really practical basis is you come into the app, you connect with your partner, and then once you're connected fundamentally from a place of messaging in chat, because intimacy is talking about sex. I mean, and talking about sex is something that's so important to our world that we have in fact created a special word for it. We have no word for talking about sports or no word for talking about family, but we have sexting because we think sexy chat is so important. So you start with messaging, but really you can message on any platform. The idea of Amorus is that we have games and tools to actually improve that interaction. And so the app as it exists today is a 3-pack of games that help you flirt, help you uncover shared fantasies, help you start a sexy new conversation. And then you're doing that in a platform that's explicitly designed for this kind of conversation, so has more privacy controls, more consent controls, more encryption controls than you would find on, your average app. Like, that's not to say that WhatsApp isn't fully encrypted. It totally is. WhatsApp just can't help you with the sexy part here. And WhatsApp doesn't think about things like, hey, when we share photos, it's important that the sharer has perpetual control over taking that back at any time in the future, versus once it's shared, it's out and it's on other people's phones and we can't do anything about it. Amorus is designed so that if you shared a photo a week ago and you want to delete it today, it'll delete on both sides of the relationship, no matter what. But again, beyond the privacy, it's about how do you find new fun together? So we have a game called Chat Sparks, which is just really fun, delicious, sexy conversation prompts like, what's the deepest underground you've ever had sex? Or if you were going to go to sex school tomorrow, what's the very first class you'd want to take? And just things that are interesting new takes for two people to start that conversation. Or you can just flirt and take a picture, send it to your partner, and they get it as a blurry jigsaw, and they have to solve the puzzle before they get the picture you sent them. So things like that.
Totally. I mean, it sounds like it solves a problem, like a big problem, right, in the world. But it leads me to wonder, like, why did you decide to start working on this? Or in other words, like, what's the origin story here, and why was this the
Totally.
market and the problem that you decided to solve when you set out with Amorus?
Well, so for me, it was I was the first customer. I just wanted this in the world. And then when I realized it wasn't in the world, I started exploring and realized, oh, wait, not only should I be making this, but I'm kind of the perfect founder for this. And I'm the one person who's going to say, like, yes, I want to be the face of sexting on CNN. Like, that would be amazing. Um, and what prompted it was honestly the pandemic. Was going into the pandemic, I was not quarantined, like sort of when everyone went into their shutdowns and shelters, I was not quarantined with a partner. And I find intimacy and sexuality and pleasure a really vital coping mechanism, so I was leaning into that, but having to do it remotely and basically burning up my thumbs with my partner. And at the same time, maybe not my best self, right? The apocalypse meant that maybe I wasn't at my most creative and most funny and most entertaining. And so I went looking for things that would help me engage and like help the lift, lift me up, like give me a platform to stand on. And I thought that was really straightforward. I was going to go ask the internet for help with sex, and the internet had answers. And the internet said no. And the internet basically said, like, hey, if you are looking for solo tools, if you're on your own personal journey of one person, if you're looking for entertainment like porn or, really great clips to watch, there are lots of things we can do for you. But there is very little that uplifts two people in relationship. There's very little that's designed to center an interaction with another live human that you want to be sexy with. That we can't help you with. And I was really, really frustrated. And then I realized that that was a real opportunity. And that as someone who, I mean, I've spent 15 years as an entrepreneur, specifically as a filmmaker. I produce movies. So I am the business of making independent feature films. And I have done that many times successfully. And that is all communication. It is all, how do you tell stories to lots of people? And intimacy is, how do you tell stories to each other? I also just have always been the person who loves sexuality and knows about it. From the earliest age, my mother was a professor of reproductive health. So I was the 7-year-old on the playground that was like, I know how babies are really born. Let me tell you. But as a result, I've just always been the person who's really comfortable in these conversations, who really wants to engage in these conversations. I'm actually a sex educator I have a sex educator training at this point. And all of that sort of coalesced to be like, oh, hey, this is the thing. The thing I'm going to do is help people with intimacy. And in the beginning, it was like, I want a sexy game to play with my partner. And it has been in the process of building Amorus that I've really realized, hey, there's a much bigger need here to have romance tech for relationships, that we have just this vast market of people who, I have an app for my meditation and an app for my fitness and an app for my grocery list. How is it possible that there is not tech helping me with the deepest relationship I have in my life?
And if you were to kind of take what you are building now, what you've built, what you plan to build, and kind of extrapolate out 5, 10, 15 years
Yeah.
into the future, what do you see as like the big vision here? Or I guess in other words, like if everything works out and you build the company you want to build and you know that this can be, what's that look like in a decade or two?
I think it looks like, that Amorous is an app that everybody has in the same way that, or at least sort of cycles through in the same way that Tinder is, that in the same way that for people in our society, it is absolutely like, oh, well, if you're dating, you may or may not meet someone on a dating app, but a dating app is certainly the tools, or more than one of them are the tools in your toolkit for being in dating, that Amorous is a tool in your toolkit for being in romance. And when you are in relationship, of course you have Amorous, and what you and your partner talk about on it is your own darn business. But this is how you have healthy relationship, is you encourage it and you take time for it, and you have a safe space where you can get into like the delicious amazing, because that's what keeps relationships alive. That's what keeps it sparky and fiery and amazing.
And in order to make that happen, like you need some help, right? I mean, it takes a village to
Mhm.
make a startup work and scale. So
Yeah.
my question for you is, how can the Forward Thinking Founders community help? Are you hiring? Are you raising money? Looking for users? Are you partnering with companies? How can we assist?
I love that. So bunch of those. I am in my first angel raise right now. So I'm raising angels. So anyone who wants to be part of the investment, please reach out and let me know. And then I'm preparing for a pre-seed round probably in the next few months. And then I'm also always really excited about users. I'm really excited about couples that could come in. We have been in the market for less than 6 months, and we're still learning and growing and building out the app with new steps all the time. So feedback is super, super important, and I would love that from anyone. And then I'm always excited about anyone who wants to help us with game design. So expanding right now we have a 3-pack of games. We have a couple of games coming down the pike in the next quarter, but I am always excited about someone who has an idea for how we can create a new game that will encourage intimacy and wants to pitch that to me, anyone who's a game designer and wants to partner and help put something together. I would love that. That's really, really exciting.
And then for my last question, if someone wanted to reach out or learn more or work with you, how can they find you? Like, do you have a website or social media presence, email address? How can someone learn more?
All of the above. So our website is amorus.net. And I should say Amorus is spelled Amorus. That's our special spelling. So amorus.net is our website. You can find us on all the socials at Amorus app. Amorus app is our handle, all of there. And then honestly, my direct email is just elizabeth@amorus.net. And I'm happy to hear from people. Really excited to build something new. So.
Cool. Well, thank you so much for coming on to the podcast. I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you so much, and have an amazing next couple of weeks getting married and on your honeymoon. It is going to be so much fun, and it's congratulations and have a wonderful time.
I appreciate that.